Hey everyone, so today is going to be a different video, and as you can see I am filming at night, so I'm sorry about the lighting quality. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be quite interested in this subject. Sorry if I keep looking away because I can see myself recording in a mirror behind, and I keep looking at the mirror, so if I irritate you doing that, I'm sorry. So these are just a few things I've experienced through my life. Now if you do see the curtain twitching, by the way, it is my cat. He's being a right pain in the arse today. He just will not keep still and he keeps meowing. If you are quite superstitious and things, you might not want to watch this video, especially if you're going to bed soon, because it could possibly creep you out. I feel quite creeped out already just making this video. I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so scared. So anyway, I'm just going to give you a brief little thing about me. I am not a religious person. I don't believe in spirits or, you know, that sort of stuff. I don't really think it's that. I think it's something else. I don't believe it's... What do you want now? I've grown up with a dad who is a scientist, and he doesn't really believe in anything. I've never really told him these stories, and I wouldn't tell him these stories because he'd probably say I was imagining it anyway. But anyway, everyone's got an entitled to an opinion, and I'm creeping myself out now. I'd like to hear your opinions as well. Am I just a little bit crazy? Who knows? My mum, when I was 4, she was she was ill, she had cancer. Obviously when you're a child you don't really understand what's going on anyway. But my auntie Kathy, she wasn't really my auntie, but she used to look after me quite a lot. The first thing that I can remember from having some kind of like paranormal experience, which, well, I don't personally remember, but I've been told by other people about this, and apparently I was looking into a wine glass and I said that I could see a lady in the glass, and I said, oh, she's a beautiful lady. I don't remember this, I've just been told by people. Well, my Auntie Kathy, she's told me about this, and I went, oh, she's gone now. So later on that night, my dad come round and said that my mum had actually passed away, and that was the first time that anything weird had actually started happening to me. Then I moved in with my nan and granddad because my dad was working full time, and we moved into this flat, and it's 2 minutes away from this flat, and it's like right by a graveyard, and it's just weird. And I remember I was 7 when I moved into this place, and I just remember instantly just not liking it, and I just had a weird feeling. I just remember the first time I went into that flat, I just did not like the atmosphere, and I don't know whether it was just my imagination as a child or what, but I just didn't like this new flat. But yeah, we were previously told that an old lady had actually died in the flat, which, yeah, but it was like it's an old residential home where it's like a block of flats where a lot of old people have actually died. A lot of the people that I grew up with when I was little have actually passed away now. A hell of a lot of them are not around anymore, and it's kind of strange that I've kind of grown up with a lot of death in my life, like a lot of people that I've known. But this flat anyway, I'll get to the story. I was just giving you a picture anyway, what it was like. But the first thing I remember, this was the first few weeks that we moved in, and I remember feeling someone like sat on the end of my bed, and I just remember like not wanting to look because it was like do you know the feeling when someone sat at the end of your bed and it was like a pressure, and I couldn't move my leg. Like, then again, it could have been some other coincidence. Again, it could have been just me being young, whatever. Don't worry, there's plenty more to come to back this weird shit up. So for years and years, like, weird stuff had happened. Like, me and my nan and granddad, we all used to sleep in like the one room, and there was like the double bed and then my single bed, and there was like that much distance between them. There was a ball of wool on my nan and granddad's bed, and I was walking through the beds. I remember seeing this ball of wood just went, it was just me in the bedroom. That was like my little place to like have fun and whatnot. The ball of wood went flying across my head over to my bed. I remember just being like, and then I remember being in the back room and something just, again this could have been just someone messing about or something, but the window just kind of went like the loudest bang ever on the window. Again, it could have just been a bird or something like smashing into the window, but it was really creepy. Another thing was, this was all when I was like little, like growing up and stuff. I remember being in the bed and we used to have these really squeaky windows, and I could hear one night one was just being opened, like it was like going, because it used to make a lot of noise, it was really loud. And my nan and granda were like fast asleep, and I just like looked up and there was no one there, and I was like, oh. But my nan, when she was still alive, she said she could hear things being moved on a desk at night. Like a vanity table was like where her bed was, it was like right in front of her, and she said she could hear things being moved on it, which is just, it was kind of a normal thing in this house. Then I remember I was in bed once, and I think I was a bit older, this was when I was about 10 maybe, and I was lying in bed. I remember I got a bunk bed eventually, and I was fast asleep-ish. I was like, you know, when you're just dozing off. And I just remember feeling like this full body weight smash into my bed. And I thought it was my granddad like getting up and he'd fell over or something. And I looked up and there was no one there, and I screamed the house down like there was no tomorrow. I was like, oh my god, what the fuck was that? It was like one of the most scariest things ever. It was like genuinely someone just like pushing something. Like I don't like that in my life. And it was like, again, it could have just been something simple. I don't know how, I don't know what it was. So I did move out eventually because I was 14 at the time, and I moved to my dad's house, which pretty much nothing happened at my dad's house. It was like such a mellow atmosphere, it was like absolutely nothing. Then I remember staying over at my granddad's when it was work experience. My nan passed away, and when my nan passed away I did notice things that were actually getting worse. But anyway, I went back to this flat to stay there for about 2 weeks just because it was close to where I was doing my work experience. And my granddad said he can hear tapping in the bedroom, and I thought, okay, he's getting old, he's losing his marbles, because he does actually have what's the word, dementia now. You know, he's probably imagining things. But I remember at night time you just have the horriblest feeling. I remember being in bed and hearing, like, I had a little desk right next to my bed. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember just waking up at that time, and I just kind of like woke up randomly, and then 5 seconds or something afterwards I woke up. I heard a right next to my bedside cabinet, and it was like one of those noises. It came right next to me. I know what it was. I knew it was right next to my head. I could hear it clearly, what it was and what it was on. I looked up and there was no one there. I thought maybe it was my granddad playing some funny games or something, but it wasn't. I remember just being sat, I think I was reading a book or something, and my granddad was fast asleep on the sofa, and there was just like this table where we had like 4 coasters, and I remember just like reading a book, and then one of the coasters just went like flying off the table, and I just remember looking at it just thinking like, oh my god. So yeah, by the time my work experience was up I was absolutely gagging to leave that flat because it was horrible. Anyway, 2 years later, something like that, I went back. I got kicked out of my normal house, and then I stayed at my granddad's. He was getting kind of worse with his sort of dementia sort of thing, and he was telling me that he could hear noises and there was weird things going on in the flat. And again, I just kind of brushed it off. I was just trying to think, okay, no, nothing, it can't be possible that things like this are actually happening. It just can't be possible. And now the first night, I remember this was the first night I stayed there in a few years, because I didn't like this flat at all, and I would not actually stay in this flat on my own for a lot of money. Trust me, it was horrible. So my brother was there, and I remember my granddad went to bed or something like that, and me and my brother were sitting, we were like wide awake, and we were just sitting in the living room, and I went to the toilet where there's like a little corridor, and I used to hate the corridor. I don't know why, I just did not like the corridor. I remember walking to the bathroom and then hearing the bin lid go, and I was like, that was strange. So when I finished being up, you know, going to the toilet, I went into the kitchen, because it was like directly opposite the toilet, and I remember just seeing like trickles down the bin. I was like, what the hell is that? So I opened the bin, and then there was like a tea bag like right there, and I was like, what the hell? Just ignored it. And then my brother went to the toilet, and then he just said he just heard the bin go as well. And I was like, oh my god, there was like tea bags being thrown across the kitchen. I swear to god that it was crazy. Because we used to have like this little dish where you'd just put like tea bags in when you finish with them, and then it was just weird. Anyway, my brother stayed that night, and I don't know how true this is, but he did say that he went to turn off a light in the bedroom. He got up in the middle of the night because he turned it off, and he said it randomly come on again, and then he went to check the plug, and the light wasn't actually plugged in. Now, I don't know how true that is. I can't back it up to say that's what had happened. Anyway, my friend Amy came to stay over the night, and she just had a weird feeling about this house as well. Well, flat. And a lot of people did. As soon as they walked in, they just didn't like the actual flat. She stayed the night, and she was like laying on the couch. She was like going to sleep on the couch, and then I was on the other couch, just like on the normal rest. And then we were just like chatting away, the light off, because we were going to sleep. And then she just was like, the plug's just come out the wall. I was like, you are? And she was like, yeah, okay. So I switched the light back on, and I just went, okay, that, because it was like still swinging. But this used to happen a lot to the living room light, which was quite, and the bedroom light, not the bedroom light, the bedroom, one of the bedroom plugs. So I put the plug back in, and then it came out again. Kind of strange. A lot of weird shit happened in this, the short space of time that I was actually living there. I remember my granddad saying, we were just like chatting in the living room one morning. I was getting ready to go to college, and we were just chatting away, and he went white as a ghost. He just went white, grey, sick, and I just remember seeing him just going like, oh my god, like, I just remember seeing him just doing that, and I was like, what's up? And he said, I just saw that plug being pulled out of the wall. And I said, what do you mean, like it just popped out? He said, no, he said as though someone was pulling it out of the wall. But yeah, I think that was the first time it actually happened, and I just ignored it. I thought maybe I accidentally pulled it out or something. You know what I mean? Like wrapped around a wire. Or, I don't know. I didn't want to know what was actually happening. Oh, I remember waking up once at about 4 o'clock in the morning. This is when all the weird stuff used to happen, was like early mornings. And I remember just, because my granddad used to get up sometimes really early in the morning, and he used to just sit and make a cup of tea in the living room and just leave me in the bedroom, which I didn't like, to be honest. And I remember just seeing this like white ball, and I just saw it and I shit myself. I was just like, oh my god, what the hell was that? I just pulled the blanket over my head. I was like too scared to even move. I don't know what it was. I only seen it for a split second, but it kind of like moved really fast. Anyway, the next day, I didn't tell my granddad. I didn't want to tell him anything like this, what had actually happened. So I was just, he just kind of brought up the fact that that he saw a woman that night that happened. He just sort of said that he saw a woman's face early in the morning, and I was like, oh my god. He said, I can't explain it. He just said he saw a white face, and I didn't even know what to say to him, because I was just like, oh my god, what the hell? Because I remember seeing a white ball. I don't know what it was. I didn't even want to look. I just remember seeing a white ball, and that was it. And then I just kind of like didn't want to know what it was. So yeah. But yeah, he said he saw a woman's face, and he said he didn't recognise who it was. He said it was just a young woman. He said it wasn't my mum. I don't know. I really don't know. But I did notice things did actually get a lot worse when my Nana Phyllis died, and that's when it started to get really creepy. But yeah, my granddad did tell me a lot of things that he said, but like I can't really say what is true or not. But I remember like being sat in the living room with him, and he said that he could see somebody at the door. I don't want to know. I was like, what do you mean you can see someone at the door? Because obviously I thought he was going, because obviously he's got dementia. I was like, everything that he was saying to me, I was starting to actually believe him, because I did just think it was dementia, and it was turning out a lot of it to, I could see what was going on. I was like, oh my god, that can't be real. Anyway, I did actually rush out of that flat to get my own place, which was not haunted, thank god. Although the kettle used to flick on and on by itself, but that's just like, that could be surely electrical. So a lot of stuff just kind of didn't happen for a while, because I did move into my own place and there was like nothing happening there at all, and I was like, fine, thank god. I just didn't want I hate having a feeling of something there. So then I moved back in with my dad, and I have to always now sleep with a light on or something in the background, because I'm that scared of when I sleep. I'm really scared of the dark, and I don't like to know anything that's going on. Oh, sorry, interrupted again. So I moved back in with my dad, and a lot of nothing really happened for a while, and then the house kind of just went through a weird phase of things happening. I used to get like weird feelings, not often at all. Like, this house was like really calm and stuff, so it didn't happen too often, but I used to get really bad feelings of being watched. Like, sometimes uncomfortable sensation. I don't know, maybe it's paranoia in my own head or what. So I remember this one night in particular, I felt really badly watched. So I went and sat with my brother for a while, and I just said, I just feel like I'm being watched. I couldn't describe it. It's just, I don't know if anyone's had that feeling. But I remember once just like waking up, this isn't ghost related, but I remember waking up once and just like this feeling when I was asleep, being watched. Anyway, I woke up and my brother was actually stood at the door, just like, I think he was seeing if I was like awake or something. But yeah, it was strange. I didn't hear him or out. I just remember feeling like someone was watching me. But yeah, this sensation in particular was very strong. Anyway, that could just be me being crazy. But I remember one night, no one was in the house. It was just myself, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I just woke up randomly, and I went downstairs because I just felt uncomfortable. Like, it was a strange feeling. So I turned on the telly, and I remember just watching TV, and then seeing like someone just put the face right here. Like, it was someone just going like around the corner of my face, and I remember just going, whoa, what the fuck was that? It was really I've never experienced anything like that. And there's a fluff in her. Yeah, that was probably the worst. It was just bizarre. Like, I can't describe. It was like, I just remember seeing like a face coming like here. Just like, imagine you're just not even, you're not concentrating, obviously, are you? So I just remember seeing it and then just being like, whoa, and then it was gone. So I couldn't really describe what that was, but it was really strange. So I moved out of London, my boyfriend at the time, and we rented out this like house in London, and it's called Ealing. That's a bit that I was living in, and it's right by a graveyard. Like, the back of it was right by a graveyard. It was just, I thought I saw it. I remember him sending me the link and be like, have you seen where we were actually based? It's like, I swear to God, like 10 foot from a fucking graveyard. I was like, you don't understand, I'm haunted. Anyway, he was like a super sonically not, what's the word? We moved into this place. The first night, I remember hearing this like weird clicking sound. I was like, oh my God, what was that? I found out it was the radiators cooling down. But things were actually very creepy in this house. Now, I remember the first thing that happened that was strange there was, I remember going down for like to the toilet, and I remember hearing the pans being like moved. We did have a housemate, but he used to snore from Britain, so I knew exactly where he was in the house. And my boyfriend would be on the top floor. This was like a 3-story house, and I could hear one night, it was late, and I remember hearing the pots being moved, and I was like, you know when you're just listening, and I was like, what the hell is that? So like, I kind of ran back upstairs because I was terrified. So the next thing that happened was, I remember being in bed and my boyfriend was fast asleep, and I remember hearing someone whispering in my ear my name. I thought it was my imagination, so I was like, no, it's not real. I don't believe what I've just heard. Anyway, I just went back to sleep. The next day, I didn't tell my boyfriend about this. I was downstairs. Again, don't forget, it was a 3-story house. I was downstairs and he shouted me down, and I was like, did you just call me? This is what a boyfriend said. And I was like, no, I'm downstairs, obviously. He said, I could have sworn you just whispered in my ear. And we burst out in tears, like, oh my God. I said to him, I was like, I heard that last night, but someone said my name in my ear. Yeah, super creepy, and that's when we knew something weird was in the house. So then the next thing that happened was we went shopping at Primark, and you know you get them bags that are like the big paper bags. So we had one in one corner of the room and one in the other corner of the room, and we turned off the lights and everything, and I could hear like something being touched, like them actually being touched, and you know Primark bags make a lot of noise. So we just kind of, I could just hear something, and I was like, Ben, do you hear that? And he was like, yeah, just ignore it, it's probably a mouse. And then it like continued. So we put on the light, nothing there. We like looked around the room to see what was there. Nothing. We turned off the light again, and then this bag closest to us started going, and I was like, Ben, I can hear it. And then he said, just ignore it, just ignore it. As soon as he said just ignore it, there was a mighty whoosh. We shit ourselves. We turned on the light, the bag was split open. It was so scary. I don't think this was a ghost, this was more like poltergeist shit. It was scary as hell. And I said, Ben, there is no way there is an animal in here. You can clearly see the room. It was like a very bare room. Like there was nothing really in it. Even he was on edge, and he was like, I don't mean to be funny, but you are haunted. And I tried to warn him, I did say. But then the next thing that happened, this was all in a space of a few months living this place. It was 4 months we were living there. And I forgot to say this was actually before all the weird stuff started happening. I was taking a nap during the day after college, because I'm usually quite a sleepy person, and he was at work, I think he was. I remember waking up and, well, that just reminded me of another story I've got to tell you. I remember waking up, like, and you know when something's like imprinted in you, like something, when you're being staring at something dead long and then you can see like an imprint of it? Well, I woke up and I just remember seeing, how I can describe it, as like this big fat man screaming. I know it sounds really, really strange, but I was like fast asleep. I've never seen out like this before when I'd been asleep. And it was still daylight, but we had like a wardrobe, and I was facing like the wardrobe, and I woke up and then I just saw like in the wardrobe was like someone screaming in the wardrobe. Like it was like an imprint, that's how I can describe it. Like, and I just remember going, whoa, what the hell was that? I didn't think out of it at the time, because I just thought it was my imagination and all this stuff didn't actually happen. Then this was one of the first things, but then I do remember looking back and thinking, oh, that could have been something strange. So yeah, that was creepy as well. I started going to the toilet in the middle floor with my boyfriend at the time, and I said, I don't like this house, it scares me. I remember, like, again, her housemate was in the middle. He was very antisocial, he just kind of kept himself, and you knew exactly where he was snoring away. And I was like, I can hear the TV, like it was a very, very low volume. I said, I can hear the TV, I'm sure I can hear it, I hear something mumbling. Then he kind of come out from the toilet and then kind of listened, and it went silent, and we were like, alright. So he went to the very top floor level where our bedroom was, and then all of a sudden there was like the loudest volume, and I was like, what the hell is that? Anyway, he went downstairs and he said the TV was on full blast. I was like, what do you mean it was on full blast? Yeah, so the volume just kind of went which is really creepy, and if it was my housemate that did it, you would have heard him at least coming up the stairs or something. There was just no way he could have possibly have done that. There was, yeah, he just wouldn't have done it. So then he moved away for the next week, because this was the last week of college and I was gagging to get out of this place, and I had to live a week on my own in this haunted house. And nothing actually happened when I was on my own. Thank God, because I remember when we first started noticing something was not quite right with this room or house, we did actually just start saying hello to it. Like, we'd just be like, hello, and it actually stopped. It was strange. Like, I don't know if it wanted to be noticed or whatever it was, but it was really bizarre. Anyway, on to the most recent thing is when I went to Newsham Park Hospital, and the place itself is very, very spooky. Like, if anyone who loves ghosts and you live in Britain, definitely go to Newsham Park Hospital and do a ghost hunt, because it is an amazing building and so much history. It's really dark and gory. There's nothing on the internet about the actual history that went on at the hospital, but a lot of orphans and stuff were murdered there, unfortunately, and stuff like that. But I did try and upload the footage of what I caught on camera, but it kind of, in Movie Maker, it just pixelated everything. I don't know why, it just does. It pixelates everything. Don't know why. I filmed it on my camera on my phone. Anyway, what happened was, pardon me, I will insert the picture of what I caught on camera, by the way, here. So what happened was, we were told this story in particular of a little boy. Basically, this place was a place for orphans, and the nuns used to beat them and stick them in the rooms when they'd been naughty. and this little boy had a fit in one of the rooms. I don't know which door it was. I don't want to know which door it was. But we were told about this little boy, and I didn't know. Anyway, we went up to this floor because I thought we'd found the actual doors that I found last time I went. I thought that was what was downstairs, so I got the completely wrong place. So I caught this little weird thing. I remember just like, I was filming, obviously I was doing a vlog for you guys, so I was like filming, and I remember just like seeing this like little blob on my camera, and I thought it was smudged, so I like kind of rubbed it, and I remember just seeing it like just floating off, and I thought, oh, I didn't think out of it at the time. I just kind of just went, oh, okay. So we just continued filming. Anyway, when I was editing the footage when I got home, I realised that there was a little figure, and it just kind of darted past. Then I just kind of moved my camera and just started filming down the corridor, and then you can just see like this, it looks like a little child running down the corridor into a room. Now what I didn't realise, now I put this stuff together in my brain, the way that we were walking last time, we didn't actually get to the place where this little boy died, but the place that we were walking to was the corridor that he died with all the doors. I didn't realise this till last time we went, and I remember just walking, it was actually the point when I just walked in to that corridor with all the doors, and I was like, oh my god, this is where I caught the little boy last time, and he was running in this direction, do you know what I mean, towards where this corridor was. I didn't realise that at the time, so that was pretty creepy. The Newsham Park Hospital, if you want to go, definitely, if you're like into all your ghost stuff. I mean, I've heard a lot of things that have gone on there, on the ghost hunts and stuff, but they actually get mediums in, and I'm not really too sure whether I'm into that. I seem to attract them on my own, but I don't want to see them. What else? Something else weird happened there, and I can't remember what it was. I do want to definitely do a ghost hunt there, like I don't think things happen when you're actually looking for them, do you know what I mean? But I'd definitely love to go there, but I don't think my camera would have the quality to do it, so I'd need something else. But I'm not really someone, I mean, last time I was at the Newsham Park Hospital, that I did catch a lot of orbs. Now, I'm not someone who believes in orbs. I think it's just dust particles that are catching the light and reflecting it back. I just don't believe in orbs at all. I just think it's dust. Just my personal opinion, I just don't personally believe that. I would never do a Ouija board. I'm not going to say I 100% believe in them, but I wouldn't want to arrest anyone, like my mum or something, do you know what I mean? It's my auntie, she was telling me something that she did one when she was like a teenager, and her and a friend had bad luck for years after they used it. I don't know how true that was, but I remember my granddad was saying he did use a Ouija board once, and they were doing it, and there was like a knock from under the table. Again, I can't really speak on the terms for what actually happened there, but anyway, I did have one more story to tell you, I think one more story that I can think of out of the many years that have happened to me, and my throat's actually really sore now. But this was when I was about 15, I think, and me and my granddad were staying in the same room. Like, it was two separate beds, and there was like a middle bit which was just like towards, you know, just like separate beds, and I didn't have any weird feelings around at the time. And then I remember being asleep. I was asleep in my bed and my granddad was asleep in his bed, and I remember just seeing this tall figure. The lights were off, but it was like just this block, so like I could see it here, and I went, "Grandad, is that you?" Like, it looked as though someone was standing over me. Anyway, I realised when my granddad went, "What?" and I just screamed. and then he just like flicked the light on really fast, and I remember seeing, and I don't know how it looked like a man hanging. If anyone's seen Beetlejuice and there's like that bloke that slides into the wall and he's like flattened, it was like that. That's how I can describe what he looked like. And I remember just seeing him when the light was switched on. It was just like, it was like that, and he kind of like floated off into the wall. That was terrifying. Like, for the rest of the holiday, this was a place in Devon. I slept with the light on. I just couldn't handle whatever that was. I don't know what had gone on in that apartment or whatever. But yeah, I just remember seeing like a man hanging, and that was pretty, it was pretty horrific. Again, I hadn't seen anything like that. I can't describe till you've actually saw something, and I don't know, again, it could have been my imagination. It's strange because I just remember turning around and like not even having out in my head about things like that, do you know what I mean? So I just kind of turned around and then noticed there was like this super dark figure, and then when the light came on, I just kind of seen him like hanging and float off into the wall. Fortunately, I didn't see that ever again. I don't want to. I don't want to ever see anything like that again. It was terrifying. What else? What else? And again, my dad, it was strange because I did bump into my auntie Kathy at the Trafford Centre months ago, and she was telling my dad about what happened with the glass thing. But I had a job interview at the time, so my dad and Kathy got chatting, and she told him what I saw when I was little. And then I didn't know, because I just didn't tell him. And he went, "Why didn't you tell me what you saw when you were little?" And I was like, well, why would I? But it was strange because I've never really seen that side of my dad before, where he's actually like thought, what the hell? Because that was actually the moment that I saw. So I say I saw my mum. I don't know. I don't remember. We think that was the moment she died, because it was the day she died, and she died that afternoon. So, and then my dad drove down to actually break the news to everyone. But my dad did say that he had. It's strange because something every year on someone's birthday, something weird happens. My birthday's coming up on the 25th of November, so yes. Nothing weird happened in this flat, thank God. I did find out that this used to be a butcher's, actually. This actual apartment used to be a butcher's, so that's great. And the next door, this one that I'm pointing to, this is abandoned. Like, it is creepy as hell at night. You don't even want to see it. It's really oozy. But I think that's everything, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope I didn't seem a little bit too crazy. Again, you don't have to believe the stuff that I'm telling you, or there could be explanations for things that I can't explain. Maybe you can explain and share some light. But other things that I've heard, this was when I lived at my dad's house, and it was kind of going through this really creepy phase. I remember hearing someone say hello. I shit one, and I went to my dad and was like, "Oh my God, did you just call me?" And he was like, "No, what are you on about?" But it was like it came from under the stairs. I know it sounds really oozy. I don't know what oozy means, but it came from under the stairs, and it was someone like going, "Hello." That was really creepy. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I've probably left tons of stuff out. I know this is going to be like a 20-minute video, and I'm really sorry. But I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And I will keep you informed. I don't really want to give you any more updates because I don't want to see or hear anything strange anymore. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in my next video, and please thumbs up and leave me your stories down below. I'd love to hear some of them. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.